Yo, 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 it's Misha Dex, and I'm
Hey,
here with,
hey, your boy Keymon.
I mean, you can't end right. We can't say why be negative, put the end together. You start off with all this. You know what, though? Given the fact that you cheesing and smiling, I guess I just need to, like, accept this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Um, but it's so funny because it's all leading up to the before we press the record, and it just carries over into this.
And I
So
hope people, like, know, like, this is for real, our everyday, like, interaction. And you still get on my nerves. Like, I want to
still
make
get on my
sure I
nerves.
uplift that every
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Every
every
time.
time, every time. I think throughout this process, I think we've only been serious about a couple of times. But also, I'm like, dang, I'm really talking to this nigga every day or this person every day. Sorry.
You ain't sorry. Y'all hear that? Verbal abuse is not okay.
Oh man. So
Episode
nah,
2, we talked about toxic relationships. You putting the T in the toxic right now.
nah, it's definitely not toxic. Definitely not toxic. So before we kick off, let's celebrate you and your birthday this weekend, right? How old? What's going on with that?
Man, so let's just get to the nitty gritty of what the world is doing right now, right? Like I am very grateful to have another birthday, see another year. But it's just so much going on in the world. It almost makes me feel guilty about celebrating, right? And so I had this talk about whether or not I wanted to do something, right, as far as like a dinner or something like that. And honestly, it just don't feel right. Yeah, I got different ways that I'm gonna celebrate, but I also know I'm gonna just say I noticed that there's this split happening in LA right now, right, because of the fires. So it's like either if you're not posting something or you're not like showing that you're helping, then you become the martyr, right? Like you're the bad guy.
Hmm.
Like how you, like somebody said, like if you're not posting, you're a weirdo. And it's like people, especially people like me, I give in a way that I don't need it to be televised, right? So it just feels like you almost get boxed in on how you celebrate and do things right now. So um one thing I want to do is I don't want to resurface trauma more than repurpose it, right?
You got
So
it.
instead of getting in this space and in my head about, oh, I can't celebrate myself for what's going on, I'm gonna do stuff that I would have done with younger me shit, right? So like
Yeah.
the one thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to Disneyland. I'm
Okay.
going to connect with my inner child because even at at the age of now about to be 43, those are the things that make me happy. Those moments,
Yeah.
even it gives you an opportunity as a grown person to actually play with your imagination a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I have plans to go to the movies, but I want to go to the movies dressed up a certain way, which I'll leave it. I'll post
You
pictures
got a
next
date?
episode.
You got a date?
The date that I'm going to the movies, yes,
No,
I'm going
no,
to
you.
the date.
I'm talking about with a significant
The
other,
date
somebody of
is
interest.
January 19th.
Yeah,
That's the
no,
date.
you know, you going on a date. Who is
See,
he?
if you
You gonna
mind
share
your
with
business,
everybody?
if you mind your business, you won't have no questions to ask
And,
me.
and what's his outfit that you plan on?
Don't worry about that, sweetheart. It's that
Okay.
flat. Now you know
Okay.
I'm gonna come with it.
Oh
But
man,
like,
so
go ahead.
no, I was gonna say outside of sharing your rendezvous, yeah, what is what is something that you can look back and be proud of from this year or what you learned from this year?
Already, what I've learned from this year.
This past year, you're
Oh,
42
I was
going
gonna say
to
no. I could definitely tell. I'll answer both. So from this year, within 2 weeks, I've learned that the biggest moments of appreciation and happiness come from the smallest thing. And let me tell you why. So I have a mentee, and she's a young celebrity, and so regardless to her celebrity status, she young. So she be out and about. She has all these different things that she's accomplishing as an actress, a model, all this stuff, book or author. Um, her mom and me had a conversation this morning, and she said, "Yeah, we were just talking about things that we need to celebrate." And Karis was like, "Misha's birthday is coming up."
You said her name.
She's yes, that's what she said.
Okay.
Her mom said. She
I
said,
didn't know if you wanted to say it on camera.
"Oh, that's fine.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, I post her all the time. That's my baby.
Okay.
I'll claim her until she start acting crazy." But nah, like I told her mom, I stopped in my tracks and I said, "Kara said, is my birthday coming up?" Like she remembered. She said, "Yeah." I said, "Tell her that was the best birthday gift."
Mm,
I realized just the fact that people are thinking of me with everything that's going on. We miss those gestures of like appreciation. So I'm learning that it's those little moments that make big impact. So that's what I learned in the 2 weeks, right? Especially after the multiple, unforeseen passings of people that that
yeah.
passed away. Um, but what I've learned in the last year is I need to invest over here. I
Mm,
need to separate
mm,
myself and choose peace because that has been so rewarding. And I'm able to talk my truth and spit it real quick, right? Like, nope, I'm not doing
mm.
that. I ain't going nowhere if I don't feel good about it. And I could stand on that. And then I learned that the people that always respected me have respected my space, my
Yeah,
peace, and
yeah,
my
yeah,
timing.
yeah, yeah.
So
Now that's powerful, and I appreciate you sharing that. Um, going back to the, because I'm big on birthdays because, and I feel like it just got that way over the last few years, just because.
definitely.
I mean, you never know. We've been having so many things happening, um, and so what impact do you want to leave on the world this upcoming year from 43 to 44 that is unusual for you? Like, right? Like you're a giver,
Yes,
this,
we
that, and
know
the
that.
third. Like what outside of that that's gonna have you step outside of your comfort zone, your box.
Being able to accept the fact that my dope energy is exactly that.
Mm.
I feel like I'm learning more and more why. Like, okay, I told you this maybe a
Can I
month
take a sip?
ago.
Can I take a sip?
No, I'm just. What did Arnold Schwarzenegger say? The bathroom don't exist. That wine that you got.
Go ahead,
No, but no,
finish.
I was gonna say that that I have strangers, complete strangers, approach me. But you've been there. Like this ain't even a new story. But I'm telling it now because I feel like I'm embracing what I'm bringing to spaces.
Mm.
Because I don't go anywhere if my mood is bad. You already know that. If I'm not feeling it, if I don't feel like I can place my hand or give somebody a hug or say something positive, then I don't need to be there, right?
Yeah,
Because you're supposed to
yeah,
leave spaces better than you find them.
yeah.
So I think the idea that strangers see my light is wild, but accepting it, stop being in shock about it, right?
Yeah.
Accept it, embrace it. I want to embrace all the beauties, like not just the physical, but the inner beauties as well.
But do you feel like that's a lot of pressure in terms of I don't want to show up into the room if I'm, you know, not feeling it or whatever the case may be, because sometimes you rooms require you to just come in and listen.
Most definitely. I definitely agree. But I also feel like the pressure is showing up and having to contain my mouth because I'm not feeling something somebody said because I'm not there. Sometimes I'm
Mm.
not there. Sometimes I'm not mature enough,
But
right?
that's okay though.
It depends on what you get.
What, yes. And also, I think we touched on this last week. It's just like we're not always perfect,
Oh,
and
definitely.
and 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 I feel like because we are who we are, the spaces that we step into require us to shine our light
Hmm.
because we understand what the masses might be going through, and we understand that our energy is our power, our superpower.
Right. Most definitely. But I also know it comes with knowing yourself. Like you can't honestly say you seen me pop off before, but you know it's in me.
Sierra dance when you in
I didn't say pop like dancing. What is wrong with you?
the
You need to
okay.
stop sipping. Stop sipping.
No, no, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like a lot of people when they first when people describe me, I like to say that majority of the people can say like I ain't never seen her like wild out, cuss
Mm,
nobody out or whatever. And there's these moments where it's in me to do that. That's what I mean by not showing
yeah.
up. I don't mean come perfect, right?
Mm,
But if my mind is already clouded with like things that I haven't resolved yet,
yeah.
or if I just feel like my peace is compromised before I can get to you,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be short tempered, and that don't have nothing to do with y'all. So no, I don't expect me to show up perfect all the time.
Okay.
But if I have the emotional intelligence to know that I'm not, baby a little thrown off today. Baby is me. Baby needs to
Mm,
go and sit down and stay home. But I wanna bring it to you. I noticed that some of the feedback I got back is like, wait, we want to hear more about Kimon, right? So even though your birthday just passed last month, what are some of the impacts you want to foresee yourself having either on the world, your community, your home, anybody except for you?
I think right now is courage and continue the courage. I feel like I've always been an open book in terms of sharing my experience, sharing my darkest moments. And I think for me, that is one of the biggest things that I pride myself on. Because I have my moments. I have my moments very often. I get in my head in terms of fearing things before things even happen, whatever the case may be. But one thing I have never been embarrassed about was sharing my past. And I remember having a conversation with Jason, big bro, and he's like, we go through things to help the next person out.
Mm-hmm. And you say
And
that often.
yeah, exactly. And and how dare I keep that to myself? How dare I, you know, keep the fact that I was seeing my oldest daughter's uh, stepfather as an enemy first because I
Mm.
felt like I had to compete. And then I looked and I said, "Ooh, it's an ally. What am I doing?" Because I know there are some gaps that I'm missing, and I also give myself grace in it, but also understanding like, yo,
So
it's bigger
so
than me.
so with that, right? Do you think that is okay? Because I don't want to make this a race thing, right? But we only know black because that's what we are, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do you think that is a black man thing? Like when it comes to accepting the external parent to your child because, it didn't work out with the mother, right? So like, do you think it's or
I
just a
don't, I don't,
man thing in general?
I don't think it has anything to do with race. I think it's a man thing. I think it's an ego thing. I think it's a society, what society has placed on us as men. I know for
Mm-hmm.
me, I used to always say like, and I think this is why I would say I have a better relationship with my dad versus my mom was because society painted the picture that the dad was never in the household, but the mom was always there. So now I'm going through this thing where it's kind of the same in terms of both parents being absent in their own struggles, but because society placed that it was cool for the dad to leave, but not the mom, I'm having a hard time connecting here versus here.
Yeah, that disconnect.
And so, in to be honest with you, I shared a little bit in the first video about a phone call, but these are constantly things that I'm working through. And some days I feel like I take two steps backwards, but knowing that the steps backwards sometimes propel you 4 or 5 steps forward.
Right.
So just understanding that. So I don't think it's it's a black thing or a race thing. I think it's an ego thing. Um, I think when it comes to that, we got to really channel in our why and understand that it's bigger than us when it comes to our children.
And that's true because, being the only girl out of six, right? And having a lot of like strong male relationships as far as like, like you became my little brother over 2 decades ago. Like having these male bonds, I've witnessed things in its own way. Like your story has never been you can't see your kids. So I can't even include you and I would never be disrespectful to her like that to say that, right? But you kind of had that one easy in a good way, right? In a
Definitely.
supportive way. I won't even say easy. You had support in that
Yeah.
sense, right? And so always paying homage to those that have made life transitions a lot easier to transition through.
Exactly.
But I've
Exactly.
seen so many situations where the women just cause so much chaos that it does create this egotistical macho man that feels like they have to, have something to prove. And it's really hard because, again, I always pride myself on, I hope I never become her, right?
Mm,
Even in the sense of becoming potentially a stepmom and not
yeah.
having my own bio children, right? And so I brought up the race thing because unfortunately, our men are cast. Our
Yeah.
men are cast to be the angry aggressor,
Hmm.
deadbeat, right? And so that's why I brought up race. I know better, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to hear
Yeah. Yeah.
your response on that because it is important.
But think about it though. Think about how many relationships you have, whether they're platonic, whatever the case may be, but just travel with so much baggage from one relationship that you never really healed from. Now you take it into now you endure what that relationship is coming with, not releasing what you came in with. So there's so much to there's so much to it. There's
It
so
is.
much to it.
And you're hitting on a major point, carrying the baggage from other relationships, right? But what if you don't even know what's in your suitcase? You got it. You got that damn baggage, but you don't really know what you're carrying until you get triggered. That's why I said earlier,
Mm,
my goal is to not just resurface my trauma, but repurpose it, right?
yeah,
Reusing
yeah.
it to really go backwards to do corrective steps. You know what
Mm,
I mean? Like one of the things I always say to my clients, when I work with people in general with the spiritual journeys and stuff like that, is that trauma remembers us by our name. We can have we can have amnesia. We can, get a new start to a new life. And then something can happen. And guess what?
trauma.
Trauma remembers you by name.
Or we use that as a foundation to make the excuse on our actions because we don't want to take accountability,
And that
right?
that
Like
taps into a
be,
whole nother dimension. Yes.
because I can sit here and say I'm X, Y, and Z because of my parents, but I can also say I'm X, Y, and Z because of my parents.
Because guess what? Even a parent that's absent is still a teacher. They're
Exactly,
teaching you how not to
exactly,
be absent, right?
exactly.
And let me tell you another thing. When I was younger, me and my stepmom did not have like the best bond, right? But I moved to New York in 2007 and I had a conversation with myself. And I said, if I don't go home for this Thanksgiving, I probably never come back home for Thanksgiving or
Mm,
holidays. I might just reinvent this life, right? And then I had a conversation with God and I realized it was only one of us that was a child in the scenario that became an adult. So if she was an adult this whole time that I was a child, and no shade to her, didn't catch it, right? Didn't catch the wave on how can I better my relationship with my stepdaughter, right? I'm the only one that grew up in that, like the
yeah,
maturity from that. So I did take the responsibility and accountability to have a conversation with her to be where we are now, right?
yeah.
And there's still things to be fixed, but the point is, I could no longer grow up blaming her for what she did not know,
Hmm.
what she did not have to give. That's like me going
Hmm.
to my water bottle right now is empty and being mad because
yeah,
I can't drink out of it. It's empty. It's not
yeah,
there. It doesn't
yeah,
exist.
yeah. And
So
and then
growing
too,
from
you
my
gotta
parents is real.
you talk about like just where we're at so far along than them. I think, in some shape or form or fashion, we have taken steps to heal or try to heal, right? And that looks different. That looks might be a one-on-one session with someone, that might be
Oh,
in a
you
group.
said the key word. We took steps. Them fools were stumbling.
Stumbling. And didn't even know what that looked like, because I feel like back in the day, as in the household, you wasn't able to speak about certain things. You had to channel that in,
Or
and
expressed,
or
especially the
express,
men.
yeah. And so it just looks different in this day and age, and I'm just so grateful that I just have some sense of awareness on where I can do better at.
So let me say this. Have you noticed since we were children to adulthood now, right? Like our friends and people we meet, haven't you noticed the increase of men in jobs that used to be just for women? Teachers,
Yeah, yeah,
social
yeah,
workers,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I believe we're in a time, and we still got a long way to go. That's why I'm working on my project, right? Um, Men are almost okay to be vulnerable now.
hmm
Like we've had, like even though they make fun of Tyrese, right? He had that whole breakdown on camera. What
I would
else
never
do
go
you
see.
want
I would
from me?
never go see him. I would never go see him in
No,
concert.
okay, don't
He
don't don't
he.
get
he
sidetracked.
okay,
Don't
go
do
ahead. Go
that.
ahead. Sorry, sorry. Go ahead.
No, my point is though, right? We've not allowed, we've created more platforms for men to be expressive, right? In a way, whether it's crying, whether it's begging for support for their children. Like I tell you all the time, you and Parker make me wish I can get a do over on my father daughter, relationship,
hmm
because you guys taught me what it means to be protected, right?
Yeah,
Like I'll never forget. It was one thing you did that I was just like, oh, this nigga love me, right? It
hmm
was like, I know you don't do clubs or nothing. We're gonna go out, but I don't want you to drive home. You stay here, you have my room, right?
yeah,
And even in that instant, I don't even think you knew what that meant, but that was protection. You
yeah,
let me know it's late, you didn't been cooking, you didn't help
yeah,
with entertainment for this party, and now we're
yeah,
going to the club. And then I was so introverted.
yeah, yeah,
And then it never stopped. You always
yeah,
said, just go on and bring your stuff and just stay here.
yeah,
And
yeah,
for me, that was the language of protection. So again, like not knowing that that existed meant all the world to me. So a
hmm
lot of times when people be like, "Oh, so you this and that," I'd be like, "My tribe is dope.
yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
learned." But
And that's what it
again,
comes down to.
you did that. Like you created safe spaces, and I don't even know if you realize. Like, here we go. You're these facial expressions. But like you made safe spaces, and I feel like that's why it was easy when you had your first child to be very present.
Mm, mm,
Because I felt like, how do I give that back? Because you never like
yeah,
I don't think you ever need to stay at my house for no reason, but you have, and you always
yeah,
had that space.
yeah,
But when you had Olivia, I was like, okay,
yeah,
that was
yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, what, you know, what's crazy, I was thinking about this earlier, is that I couldn't even go back 13 years and tell you how I was as a father, what that looked like with Olivia and Tyler. But
mm,
fast forward to having a 15-month old and starting over, what I've been very cautious about is how I disperse my energy and my care for all
oof,
three girls, right? Because obviously 15-month-old need stop
way more.
way more. And with the
And don't
others,
forget you mean.
and with the other two, it looks different. But what I noticed with them these last few weekends and having them or whatever, I'll be playing a game, and Olivia come and put her feet on my feet. I'm like, At first, I'm like, what you doing? But then I realized it's like this is her way of connecting
Yep.
with me. And then a week after, Tyler just walked up like, "Oh, I want a hug." This is her way of connecting. And so just really trying to be mindful of how the energy is dispersed,
Hmm.
um, because I know that matters.
For sure. Like, cause I'm not putting my feet on my daddy feet. You see my daddy feet?
Yeah.
So let's just I may put my no, he don't even wash his hands that often. I don't even know if I can put my hands in his hand. Maybe I'll put my head on his
Yeah, his
head.
shoulder or
No,
something like
no,
that.
my dad over the last couple of years, my dad just beat cancer a couple of years ago. Um, he's been more he's been wanting more affection for me, which is crazy
Mm-hmm.
because as a little girl, I always wanted that.
Mm-hmm.
And now he just be wanting all the affection. And I'll be like, I know I'm fine, my guy, but no, but he really do be wanting, he expect a lot. And so it for me, it's the opposite. It's like you are trying to like do the
Yeah.
connection. I'm the
Do that
daughter
make you
trying to,
feel uncomfortable or
I'm just confused. Can I
uh
honestly say that? Like I'm just
yeah,
confused.
yeah,
Because inner me is
yeah,
still here. Remember, your
yeah,
oldest self is not your current self, it's your inner
yeah,
child.
yeah.
And I believe she gets confused. And so when she gets confused, I'd be like, so what you want me to do? Push him off you? Or
So, so where do you think that's coming from? Do you think it's because he had this challenge? Do you feel like his maturity level has risen? Do you feel like he has some type of guilt? Like where do you think this
I'm going to table that and I'm going to ask him. And
mm,
that way I can give you a clear, precise answer and not just develop my own. But what I will guesstimate, right, is one, I know my dad is proud of me, right? He is
uh
proud of his daughter. Like he says that, like, I couldn't have asked for a more perfect daughter. I never gave him trouble with men or boys. I and not that saying that being a teen mom would a is a dark cloud, but he didn't have to worry about that, right?
yeah.
I think like at 18, when he started seeing that I was hanging out with boys more, he was like, "So do you like girls?" And I was like, "How you go from scaring me to be with boys to
Yeah,
now you like, okay, hold on,
yeah,
maybe I went too hard in the paint on
yeah,
you."
yeah.
But no, I know my dad is proud of me. Like he says little things, and then he calls more. I remember at one
Mm,
period he wasn't even calling like that. And then we had a conversation about it. Then I couldn't get him to stop calling, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
And,
yeah,
and
that's it.
I, I hear you because I feel like that's that's how my pops is. He's like when he introduced, yeah, that's my oldest right there. Yeah, yeah. Like okay, like I
Was you
got
this happy
it,
42 years ago?
exactly. Like just just I got here from looking at you like, no, I don't want to repeat those things or whatnot. But you know, is it hard for you to have those tough conversations? Because I would think that would be a tough conversation. Like, yeah, why are you so
Again,
affectionate right now?
I've been walking in my truth. I don't think no conversation is hard.
Hmm.
I've had to have the toughest conversations with myself. The hardest conversation is with self.
Hmm.
When I don't complete a task that I know is, I won't say detrimental, but it's very taxing on me, and
Yeah,
I'll be like, so why are we doing this? We already been down this rabbit hole, or we already been down this lane before. Why are we continuing to reperpetuate certain things that we already know better, right?
yeah, yeah.
My conversation with me is harder than anybody. And I
Mm,
think a lot of my friends, and again, I be trying not to speak up for people, but from what I understand, they appreciate my honesty.
yeah,
And again,
yeah,
it's about the intention
yeah.
behind it.
Behind your truth or behind the words that come out of your mouth, pretty much.
So, question for you: do you struggle with showing your dad affection or appreciating with how far he's come? Given the fact, right? Let me before I even fully ask the question. Given the fact of you saying to yourself, we're all human, we all have our different struggles, right? What do you feel like it's hard to acknowledge how far your dad has come and how he shows his appreciation for you being his oldest son?
Nah, I think it's not difficult, and especially during this time, this is the longest he's been stayed away for in terms of out of jail and things of that nature. And so this has been the longest. And just talking to him, he's like, I think I think he just appreciates our his kids' company and grandkids' company more than ever, more than I've ever
Mm.
witnessed. Right. And just being around him for Christmas, he just felt so free, so loose, right? Despite having, you know, the in-laws in the same room, whatever case, he was still doing his thing, and so when it comes to celebrating him, it's not hard at all. Now, I would say, it's totally opposite for my mom.
Mm.
Um, and partially that's too because I really don't know what the journey has been or what it's been lately in terms of obstacles that she has overcome. Um,
Mm.
because I don't know if I'm still connecting the past with her.
Got it.
Like you know,
Question. Do you think you hold your mama more responsible
oh yeah,
than your father?
yeah,
And is it
definitely,
because in your mind the mother should never leave the picture?
yep.
Okay.
So abandonment,
Yeah.
and that's just what it is. And
But who did you see more often, her or him?
my dad, and that's probably because I was with my granny. So
Which is his
obviously his
mom.
mom, yeah. But I wonder if that's why it's I have my certain move changes, right? In terms of being with someone whose parents have been together for 40 some years,
Mm.
right? And I have been operating in this sense of survival mode my entire life. And just not having anyone to give their opinion around that. Like, and so when you get older now, somebody's around giving an opinion. I'm like, I've been doing this for 40 plus years, like in a respectful way, obviously, but in
No,
my
I get
head,
it.
I'm like, well, I'm not used to this.
So listen, I know we're coming to our close. And first of all, this was powerful. I
Mm,
believe we tapped on various parts of ourselves from what our impact, will be to the world, what we want from ourselves, revisiting our past traumas, and again, resurfacing it to repurpose it, right? I
yeah,
feel like I could
yeah,
say that a million times over. If you had the opportunity in this window right now to send a message to your mother, right? Like a message that not so much has to be heartfelt, but has to be true to nature, right? True to
mm.
you. You have this opportunity to tell her something, given that you're in these exact feelings and moment. What would you say to her? Because wait, before you say that, also remember you're talking to someone who no longer has hers. So we've been talking about survival mode each week.
Yeah. I think I just need more time. And need more time, but understanding that
I love you, man.
time is not really on my side for this. And so, yeah, like deep down inside, like I want to do better and be better in terms of mending that relationship, but it's tough. It's tough. So,
Well, I pray that whatever barriers are on your end that you have control over, because again, we only got control over what we got control over, right? I pray that you are able to move those barriers one shift at a time. And you always talk about what I deserve. You deserve a space, not only in your heart, your head, but most importantly, in your legacy. You need a space in your legacy that doesn't make you feel like you are missing something because you have everything you need. But it's up to us to identify if those things that we need are really potent, right, in our life.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you. I love you. I
Love you
appreciate you for
too.
this.
Love you too.
And that right there, I don't, all I gotta say after this is
Is
why be
why be
negative?
negative? Man.
Woo! Boy, you did this one.
Oh man.
Whoa, sing, shiddly waddly diddly daddly, shiddly daddly, widdly diddly diddly, whoa, sing.